Sample Library Review. I'm very excited. We're going to be checking out the Evolution Django Jazz by Orange Tree Samples. Now, when contributor Shaun Chasin wrote his review of Django Jazz guitar, I could not wait to get a chance to check this out. He talked about it being hyper-realistic once you master the instrument, getting that authentic Django-style sound. I absolutely love Django's recordings, such an inspiration over the years, so I thought I'd take some time, dive in with the instrument, check out the demo Midi that's come along with the instrument, load it up here, and then listen to that back and we can talk about it and get a feel for the instrument. Orange Tree Samples Evolution Django Jazz downloads is a little over 7 gigabytes. It's a Kontakt Player instrument, meaning it's compatible with the full and free version of Kontakt. It loads right into your libraries tabs. It's got 1 NKI and normally sells for $179 from Orange Tree Samples. I'll include a link over to contributor Shaun Chasin's full review if you want to read more details. Let's dive in, have some listen to the instrument, shall we? Before we dive in and try to figure out how to take Evolution Django Jazz and just how we can get that great Django sound out of it, let's just take a quick listen, flipping through some of the presets. Now, one of the first things I like to do is play around with presets in a library, get a feel for the expandability in the sound in the instrument from the developer. We got quite a few presets here set up by Orange Tree Samples. Let's just flip through and hear some of them with some of my playing. I love when developers include demo MIDI files for their instrument. And that's what they've done here. They've included 2 different pieces composed, written for the instrument, as well as include the actual NKSN files, which should be able to load up here inside my Kontakt Player to get the exact same instruments that they had tweaked out, just so you can get a little bit of better idea of how they're putting these instruments together. So this is the rhythm guitar, that lead guitar, and load it in. And then that gives us both of those instruments the developer actually used to put this together. So I'm going to just mute my mic here, and we'll take a little listen to a few seconds of this demo, the way they've created it with MIDI. And I'll just be soloing some of the instruments, the lead and the rhythm, and then just kind of seeing how it's programmed and get a little better feel for how the instrument works and what we could do with it. So cool. We made it to the solo section, but I want to stop there because I'm already hearing some really cool ways in which this instrument's been used. Let's first just focus on how they're putting this instrument to use here using the rhythm guitar MIDI. One thing I noticed right away is we've got all these additional effects noises up at the top of the keyboard there. And it looks like that D up there and that E. And there's a little... So that's kind of the heart of it there with the little effects chunking along with us. And that I just muted all the actual notes, so let's hear it with just those first 4. Let's just listen to the actual guitar notes that are programmed in without the upper effects. Now, if you're not familiar with Orange Tree Samples' Evolution engine, they've continued to improve it. One of my favorite features they've done for quite some time now is this D here at the bottom. It basically will repeat your notes that you played. And you can see that's how they've taken advantage of this little line here with the notes and then repeating those notes with different velocities. But what I really think does make it come to life is adding those effects chunks up there on the D and the E. And they've got this configured in a way. If you're not familiar with the library, your articulations are all available for you to program however you'd like. For this particular instrument, they've got sustains set up for velocity between 76 and 127, There's got sustain miss frets randomly scheduled to happen on any velocities between 0 and 10%. Then they've got the palm mute scheduled between 35 and 75, with the mute scheduled to play velocities 0 to 35. So even if we didn't have this one here, you could see we've got the full range played across the velocity sensitivity, triggering different velocities there. With our mutes at the lowest velocity, our palm mutes at the middle velocity, and our sustains at the highest velocities. Now you can also set these up with key switches, sustain pedals, latching key switches, or controller numbers. And I think we're going to see some key switching, spoiler alert, when we get over to the lead guitar to see how that one's been programmed to give us the sound that we were looking for. Now, I'm going to stop us right there for just 1 second, because now you see with this lead line, it's all about the programming and the notes. There's very little key switching going on in those first 16 there. And what you really hear is the instrument reacts to the playing, the hammer-ons, pull-offs. It adds finger noises and string slides. So if I'm just to play on the keyboard myself, you hear it's adding all those nuances that really help make it sound realistic for the lead line. And it isn't until we get to, like I said, measure 17, which is the first start of the second 16 there, that we even have a key switch. And all we're doing there is triggering the miss fret for that one note right there. The rest of this performance so far is all just about performing in that Django style, solo style, and knowing how he performs. Because, I mean, look at this MIDI. It's just some notes, some of them are overlapping. And it sounds great right on top of it. It isn't until we get to the solo here that we're doing a little bit of key switching, but it looks like it was mostly just hitting some palm mutes and some sustained miss frets throughout there. And just triggering those articulations with those key switches simply can add some nice realism to this instrument here. Now, you can see there's tons of articulations set up with harmonics, grace notes, buzz trills, other eighth note slides, quarter note slides, 16th note slides, release down bends, octaves, power chords, all sampled. So just listening over through this demo and kind of breaking down the way it's built, one question I had to myself was, Looking at the rhythm guitar, which is the thing that absolutely Django, that I know Django for, I just kind of had to ask myself, is it going to be simple to create this kind of chunking, playing along pattern? And I ask that because Orange Tree Samples is pretty much known for this great rhythm engine, this strum engine they've built into the instrument. So let's go ahead and load up a different instance of this library, and we'll take a look at this strum engine. You can see we've got some pre-programmed in presets. There's full chunks, and then there's some half chunks. And there's a couple ways that you can program this in. I love the automatic chord recognition because then I can just do some triads like this. What I'm seeing here is it's trying to trigger a little bit of this guy, which isn't set up here. So why don't we go ahead and see if we can't get a Django Chunks preset set up and see if that sounds a little better. Okay, it sounded a little bit better, but I'm wondering if maybe we doubled it up here with the chunks. These guys. So to do that, I'm going to simply just take our old rhythm guitar part here that we were listening to in the Midi. I'm going to just delete my melodic content. So now I've got it's 20 some bars of just the effects chunks. So now I'm wondering what happens when I play my strumming patterns on top of those. It sounds okay. And now I'm programming something, I think, into the user preset here that I think is going to sound a little bit more Django-y. Let's play along with those effects. So I'm thinking I'm not going to be able to get quite what I wanted out of just the strum engine alone. So I'm wondering what a quick way to get to that Django chunking sound might be, and I think I have the answer. The answer is to use those effects programmed up top on another instrument. Then create a separate track that's just going to have our two strum pattern parts on it. So we're going to do just like that, just along with that other part. Put a click in. Real quick, jump into it. See how bad it is, quantize it, maybe just a tiny bit, so it's not so far off from where I want it. noticing it's a little bit heavy on a lot of it. We'll manipulate the MIDI a little bit. So now I got one track of rhythm guitar chunk effects, one track of rhythm guitar chord strums programmed in, and now I think I could just go over the top of that with some actual chords. So with my chords programmed in, I just did some simple triads with one hand. If I was playing this on guitar, I'm pretty sure it would look more like this. Doing little inversions there of those chords themselves across the guitar, the way I might do it if I was playing the guitar itself. All this leads me to say is that I wish I could have just loaded up Strum, programmed it as automatic chords, and gotten what I wanted out of it. But I have had a little bit of a learning curve to spend some time with it to figure out how I would use this to get that real Django chunking rhythm sound that I'd want. Now, as for the lead guitar, just looking over this demo here, this is all about the style of writing and being able to program this in, because there's very little key switching going on, really. You could probably mute these key switches off of this guitar instrument entirely, and you might not even notice it if it's accompanied by a rhythm guitar or if you've got anything else going on in the scene or in your audio. Now, first I have to say I am a fanboy when it comes to Orange Tree samples. As a guitar player myself, the level of realism that these can produce, if you learn how to use the engine, it's got it to the point where for strumming patterns, for simple stuff, for scoring, I jump into the Orange Tree world for these Evolution instruments for the simple reason that if my director or editor contacts me and wants me to take out a bar, a beat, change tempo, change a transition, these instruments will handle just that without me having to set up my microphones and get a guitar tuned and set up to play a new performance. What I love about Django Jazz is this sample set. The Selmer 403 guitar sounds super realistic if you program it correctly. Now, if you're just throwing this together in a score with another of other instruments, you may be able to get away with presets. You may not need to do any key switching, but if you really want to get the most out of this, as you saw as I dove in to try to get as close to that Django chunking style, there's a little bit of a workaround and there'll be a little bit of a learning curve. However, if I can do it in an hour or so to share it with you guys, I'm confident you could do that too. If you're looking for a Django chunky style, this one's highly recommended, as there's only a couple instruments out there that even cover this range. Thanks for hanging out with me here today. If you've picked up this one, please comment below if it's something you're interested in, or if you've always been dreaming of doing your own Django style scores or songs, please let me know. Your comments help guide the channel. If you're not already, please like, share, and subscribe, and head back over on Fridays for the weekly Deal Compressor Show.